All right, I'm gonna grab some more mics. So this series was called Internal Conflicts. And Allison and I, who curate the festival, my sister Allison, always come up with themes of films that we put together. And so I'm wondering if you felt that from what you saw. And I would love the filmmakers to talk, say who you are, what your film is, and what your conflicts were in the film. You go first.
I've been volunteered to go first. How's everybody doing? Great work to all my colleagues up here. My name is Brandon Scales, and I'm the director of Billy Something. And am I going to continue? I'm continuing. First of all, shout out to all you amazing people for coming out. Thank you so much to the Roxbury International Film Festival for having us. The movie Billy Something was written and actually our lead actor wrote it, Bronze Bernard. I don't know if he's here. He's in there somewhere. There he is. We had a lot of amazing people showing us a lot. So the film actually takes place in the early 1980s. Shout out to our production designer, Danielle Kelly. She's out there somewhere. She did amazing for life and, you know, making sure that the integrity of the period was there in the film. We did the best that we could. You know, we wanted to have fun with this one. We wanted to, you know, do a little fight scene in there to kind of, you know, so you guys aren't sitting here, you know, just watching people talk. The movie was great to work on, working with everybody up there, Analon Studios. This is probably our 10th year doing this, and so I'm just very excited, very happy that you guys enjoyed the film, and I won't take up all the time, but thank you so much.
No, Christopher, I'm with Black Business. The internal conflict with the young man, well, I wanted to kind of tell a story that hasn't been told from a character that is high class, high society, also not in the lower class, not low class, but portrayed as such in the stereotypes that Hollywood has, meaning those who are, you know, trying to make their way through the unfortunate circumstances that they're put in, whether that be, you know, selling drugs and so forth. So I wanted to cater to that middle niche, right? And that's kind of where I grew up, where I wasn't high class, but I wasn't, you know, selling drugs and so forth. So I wanted to tell that story, tell that character's story, where he is trying to do something for himself. He needs wisdom, he needs insight, and he needs resources. And I know that's one of the things we struggle with as a Black community, is finding those resources to have access. So his internal conflict was just trying to get as much insight that he possibly could in order to make that happen for him. So he was asking his brother, he was asking the old head, and a lot of it had to do with my personal story. When I was starting a business, I did the same thing. I went to an old head, talked to some of my siblings and so forth. We started a company actually, Beyond Measure Productions, with my siblings. So kind of a lot of that was reflected in the film. And I think we both got a shot on Naheem. I mean, you got it.
Okay. Oh, wait, okay, there it goes.
And then I gotta show love to a lot of, most of my actors were all new. So if anyone was in the film who was acting, if y'all could stand up, just give them some love. It's their first time acting. Shout out my crew, and I have to shout out the CB community, just being so delicate, because there's so many nuances with what you guys present and what you have culturally, but it's a beautiful culture. We wanted to showcase that, showcase Boston, showcase the different colors that we have out here in Boston, Black Boston.
It sucks to go after that. My name is Carter Stewart. I'm the writer, producer, and director of Lyrical. Praise to my fellow filmmakers and all the actors who are here, just amazing work. Thank you to the Roxbury International Film Festival. Thank you to Emily, Tommy, and Charles for coming out and supporting. In terms of internal conflicts, this is full of internal conflicts. It's also a very personal story, loosely based on my experiences in law school, working with adjudicated youth. The inner conflict is conflict between son and father, between socioeconomic statuses or groups within the Black community, conflict between the Black community and the white community. I grew up in Atlanta. I went to a high school where I was too Black for the white students, but I was too white for the Black students. So I was in between worlds. So there's that conflict of where do I fit in and what is my life purpose, and that's what they're about.
What's going on, everybody? My name is Jeru. I don't know like the name that much, I think. I was the writer, director, one of the actors in the film Easy Money. Troy, introduce yourself.
I'm Troy Vio. I was the producer of Easy Money.
When I was trying to figure out what my next short film was going to be, I'm a big fan of genre films. Getting the opportunity to work on a heist movie was something that I wanted to do. Like a lot of heist films and the reality of heist, they are obviously born out of people in impoverished communities, people in need. So we try to find that need. And a couple of years removed from college, I remember just how taxing and how expensive it is. And it's become somewhat of a deterrent for a lot of students to go to college in America nowadays because of where it's gotten. So I thought telling the story that at the root of that was dealing with that conflict, along with, if you're from Boston like I am, you know Boston's a very segregated city. So I thought having our two protagonists, their adversaries, be two white guys from another side of town, both after the same goal, both after the same bag. I had a really great time telling the story. I know some of the actors is here. If you are here, you're one of the actors, please stand up, because like you carry the Some of the actors were people who had previous experience, but my man Mike right here, I went to high school with. I asked for a figure and he came through. A lot of what we do on the independent level requires a lot of that. It's a lot of favors being done. It's a lot of money getting stretched so that we can have opportunities like this to cultivate an audience and watch movies how they should be watched together. So I appreciate y'all.
So, all of you guys made these films about Black men, really, and these struggles. Can you talk a little bit about why this is so important to you, to create these different images, to create space for these different stories? Because I think, especially now, as we see erasure, as we see, all of these, in mainstream media, views of Black people, Black men especially, you guys are sort of making different films that are going outside of that. So can you talk a little bit about why that was important for you to make those films?
Yeah, I guess I can go first. I think for me, so normally I'm an actor myself, and this is actually my first time directing. And I knew I would be able to do it because I worked with some pretty amazing people. And one of the things that I noticed growing up was that there just wasn't a lot of different perspectives on our stories that were being told. And so fast forward to today, we have so many outlets and so many platforms to be able to tell these stories and be able to put these stories out there. And I think it's important for us to take on the reins and be able to put a different spin on the perspectives that we're seeing through the lenses that we're seeing through. So, with gentlemen like this and with, talented people like you, we're able to do that. brother down here at the end really made a good point. Like, you know, when you're doing indie film, getting stuff made just isn't easy. And so every single project that gets done is, you know, there's a lot of favors we can ask, there's a lot of help that we need. And so, you know, if you guys continue to support the work that your local filmmakers are doing, we'll be able to continue to tell these stories and be able to help shape the narrative better.
For myself, I was just getting sick of what we were looking like in Hollywood. And it was, right now Hollywood is very stagnant. You don't see a lot of things being produced, and that's because they don't have no original content. And I think now's the time, seeing all these projects up there on the screen, it was just refreshing, you know what I mean, to see a different perspective of a black man who wasn't doing the normal things that you see in Hollywood and portrayed that way. The film Black Business was kind of going off of those stereotypes. There was nothing he did throughout the whole film that was illegal. He didn't steal. He wasn't in a gang or anything like that. He was in the middle trying to find his way. And I think a lot of black brothers are trying to find their way. So the ways to get around that is keeping yourself busy with building yourself, whether that be financially or mentally. I know I'm a son of a preacher, so. Yeah, I felt like this story needs to change, right? Tyler Perry's out there doing it for the black women. So
Black women are doing it for themselves.
That's why I made that face. So for the black man, like, we gotta change the narrative, and if we continue to do that up here, I think we'll have that impact.
So I felt compelled to make this movie for two reasons. One, it was originally a feature. I wrote it back in the early 2000s as a feature, as I mentioned, based on my experiences in law school. I represented kids in a clinical where they were charged with crimes, and I also volunteered in a halfway house for kids coming out of lockup, going home, and their story is just overwhelming. And I just wanted to tell their story, but tell it from my perspective with as much respect for their story as possible. And so I wrote it over 20 years ago and tried to sell it for 20 years. So the first thing that happened was it didn't sell. And so I reached a point where I said I just have to make it myself. And I shortened it to a short, found a producer, found a casting agent, was able to raise money to do it. The second thing that happened, and the reason where the compulsion comes from, is it was designed to show the inequities of the criminal justice system. And I wrote it 20 years ago. Not a lot has changed. And so that was the second compulsion for saying I got to tell the story.
So for myself, I graduated from Emerson College in 2018. Any of Emerson College? It's different from school, I just did and during my experience at Emerson, you find out that a lot of people from outside of Boston don't know that Boston has black people. It's mind-boggling. And I think for me, you know, at first it was kind of funny, and then it got kind of frustrated. And part of that reason is it's not like stories have never been told in the city of Boston. The Department is one of my favorite movies of all time, but they're never told from our side of town. And I made it a point now that for the early part of my career, for however long it needs to be, I'm committed to telling stories based in Boston about our community, about the black people from Boston. I think that it needs to be seen. The city has a rich history, and we're a part of it, and we're not going to be pushed out any longer. So that would be the reason for me to tell stories. I already have that though, for real. Like, I really like that. I want to seem like I'm anti.
We're on the other side of the river, you can say that.
As the only woman up here, I want to say that it's important to represent black men, and I wanted to produce the film Easy Money when Jeru asked me to come onto the project because I think it's important to show what the men in my life are like. And in this movie, in the script, I saw the men that I feel like represent Black culture, Black community. I'm from Miami, but I went to school at Emerson, and I was born in Boston, so I really do appreciate everything that was in that movie, the different cultures, the different environments, and just embodying everything that the struggle can also be beautiful. The moments where you see the morality is important because it's not always shown. So.
So we have time for maybe one or two questions. Back in the back. Sorry, Andrea, hold on. In the back.
I have a question. So I'm a big advocate for Black creators bringing equity and ownership to Black filmmaking, right? So I just want to ask for you guys, as important as it is to have Black directors, how important is it for you for our stories to be produced by Black filmmakers? So, good question, right?
I think anytime that your cast and crew can reflect the characters and the story that you're telling is really important. They can reflect the communities that you're telling these stories in is really important. It's not always going to be the case. Coming from Emerson, I'm fortunate enough to walk away from that with a great network that enabled me the ability to make this film, not just with a Black crew or Black cast, but some fellow alumni that are just about the grind, that are about this indie world. But I do think it is important that, like, Black artists can see that there's different hats to wear in our industry, and there's different hats to wear on set. You don't just have to be in front of the camera, you don't just have to be a director, you could be a grip, you could be handling some lights. Like, what we do is a team effort. The first thing I ever fell in love with in life was playing football. And it was a very, 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 very dark time for me when that was over, because you don't know what's next. And I love this thing very, 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 very much, to the point where it makes me scared and very anxious in all the good ways that you want to be. But I think the parallel between my time playing sports and being a filmmaker is the crew and the team. And whether you're the captain or you're a part of it, it's that. And I think you should embrace that with members of the communities that you're going to be telling stories of.
I'll also say that as an actor, I've been offered some roles that I definitely had to say no to. And the reason why is because it matters to me how I represent the community. And sometimes not every role is meant for you or meant for me. And going off of what the question was asked, sometimes people see our community through their lenses and not through ours. And sometimes those are the people that are financing the films, and those are, he who finances the movie, he who puts the money up, gets to say, hey, can you just do it just a little more like a, right? And so it's important when we have people who see us through the same lens tell the stories, because it's a cultural thing. And I think I'm just gonna leave it there.
This was my first time, not first time, but having the ability to meet Animal Studios. And when I first met them, I was just like, that's dope. So I got a shout out to y'all. So who y'all right? And I'm looking forward to working with y'all in the future, soon to be future, hopefully. But the importance of it is, as many of y'all have already said, the echoes in the conversations that happen behind closed doors on sets. And when you have someone who looks like you, those conversations are a little bit lighter and not as heavy, or may not be taken the wrong way. So I feel like that is an advantage that you're giving as a filmmaker, and as having a crew that represents and speaks and looks like you. So.
If I could add that my producer was black, and he was a creative partner. So he actually improved the story with his own story. And my kids made me remember this. If you want to see our crew and our production company, you can see them on Instagram at Lyrical Short Film. But you can see the diversity of our crew that's there. It was so important for all the reasons that have been stated.
Yeah, and I'll also say it is good to have other people to give a different perspective as well. So that is also important.
Thank you all. We don't have time for any other questions. Sarah, did you have a quick question?
I noticed a lot of it. I loved thank you for your brilliant stories. I loved all of them, and the acting was great and all of that. I noticed people saying they were casting their friends and their family and all of that. Did you know that you can actually use SAG-AFTRA to put out a notice to all of the professional actors to use them? And if it's a micro-budget agreement, there's not a money thing attached to it. So just let you know that there's a lot of professional actors out there that you can use, and the casting won't cost you anything.
So for those of you who see Andrea in the crowd, Andrea is one of our daily leads for Creeds program and is the SAG-AFTRA New England representative, local representative. Thank you all so much for coming. This is our closing night. This means so much to have all of you here supporting these films, filmmakers, us as the festival team. We've been at it for 9 days. We love everything we do. I'm here for you. They're all there. Your stories are the reason why we keep going year after year, even though at the end of every festival we say no. But we do it because we love the work you're doing, and we will continue to do it because these stories are so important. So please support local filmmakers. Please go to local festivals. Please ask them, follow them on social, see what they're up to. Because this is the way we're going to continue to get our story out, and the different story that needs to be told outside of mainstream media. So thank you all so much.